Hey guys, I'm Brian. If you're even mildly into aviation, you're well aware that they've actually released Top Gun again. Actually, it comes out tomorrow in theaters. Fortunately for me, I live near a place where a lot of these movies get leaked, and so I get early copies. So I ran down the street and I picked up a copy. You can see right here, I got the new one. It's the Top Gun Maverick. I popped it into my VCR and just got finished watching it, and I want to kind of tell you what to expect when you see this movie. It was fairly awesome, but there were a lot of surprises, and so I'd like to share them with you right now. All right, before we jump into the film, there's a couple of things you need to know. Number one, in Top Gun Maverick, there's no volleyball. If you were anything like me for the first Top Gun, you fast forwarded through all the silly flying scenes to get to the volleyball games. If that was you, this is not the movie for you. I didn't see a single volleyball, and I think if you ask the average person on the street what kind of movie was Top Gun, they're gonna tell you it was a volleyball movie. Number two, it's full of continuity errors. I'm going to dive into that later as we dissect the film. And number three, there's a significant amount of aircraft type confusion. That's something else I'm going to dive into. For now, we're going to get into the film and I'll tell you what I learned. In the original film, the protagonist is Pete Mitchell, whose call sign is Maverick. In Top Gun Maverick, we're actually following the story of him and his friend's kids. So he has a son in this movie named Doug. His call sign's just Lil Mav. At the beginning of the film, Mav Jr. and all of his buddies are going through some sort of flight training, and I think the point of this is just to let you know that these are the children of the people from the original Top Gun movie. In fact, this guy right here, this is Goose's son, and for whatever reason, they're sticking with the bird-themed call signs. They just call him Punky Rooster. And yeah, that is the guy who played Styles in both Teen Wolf and Teen Wolf 2, if you're keeping count. Now, while all the kids are violating the FAA's 500-foot rule to race a motorcycle in a Cessna Aerobat with full flaps, Doug's father is actually shot down in what appears to be an ambiguously Middle Eastern country that gives off heavy Libya vibes. So Doug's dad is in prison in Libya, and he's been sentenced to be hanged for violating their airspace. Surprisingly, this is actually kind of typical. I busted Bravo once and I received the same sentence. The difference is in America, we have the NASA form, which reduces your sentence to like 6 weeks of worrying about whether or not they're going to follow up on it.
Do you want me to get you a copy of the FAA rules and regulations?
So we're going to stop here real quick, and there's one thing I want to point out. In the original Top Gun, this is one of those 80s movies where the cast was like mostly, how do I put it? This is Sundown. Yeah, that's right. Not only was he, it's kind of hard to dance around this in 2022. Look, you had Viper, Cougar, Wolfman, Stinger, Iceman, Jester, Slider, but this guy gets Sundown. It's a little bit too on the point, I think. I'm not sure exactly what I'm trying to say here. But so anyway, I don't know. The cool thing about this version of the movie here, part two, is instead of making this particular individual an ancillary character, what we have now is we have this guy called Chappie, Charles Sinclair, and he's actually got a huge role. Doug, Lil Mav, is super dependent on Chappie, and they're going to work together to go get his dad out of this country. So I kind of like that this movie's a little bit more progressive than the original one. I think everyone's going to be happy to see that. It's 2022. We need to be a little bit more realistic about the diversity in the military. I don't know why I went off on that tangent, but really, Sundown? So as I mentioned in the intro, this video has a lot of continuity errors. I'd like to talk about those now. So I mentioned there's continuity errors in this movie, and you gotta kind of overlook them. Once Doug's dad had been kidnapped in this country, Doug decides that he's gonna go fly an F-16, which he stole from an Air Force base that he seems to have wired, whatever he means by that, with the help of his friend Chappie.
What? Look, I'm telling you right now, I bet you can get a plane. All the firepower it can carry, aerial recon, intelligence. I got the whole damn base wired. Anything you need, I can get you.
Are you wired enough to get me a couple of pilots, too?
I can get you one.
The two of them take two stolen F-16s that are fully armored, and they decide they're going to go fly to whatever country that dad's in, and they're going to rescue him. Now, you can see when they're flying there on this mission, there will be a single scene, and the plane will change multiple times. So we can see here there's bombs. There's no bombs. Fuel tanks. No fuel tanks. There's a whole lot of that type of thing. I also question whether or not some of the instrumentation is actually accurate or just something that they outsourced to a young child who had some colors and I don't know what else. Anyway, so Maverick goes to rescue Tom Cruise. His dad's in the country, And so what he does is they go pretend like they're this super powerful squadron of planes. It's just the two F-16s that don't appear to need to be refueled between here and wherever they're going. I have no idea how much fuel an F-16 carries or burns, but these guys had fuel for days. So they go into the country to rescue Dad. They lie and say they're this big squadron. And at one point, Doug says, I need my dad to come out on the runway accompanied by someone. I'll play a clip so it makes more sense.
This is Iron Eagle. I am the flight leader of an American assault force sent to recover Colonel Ted Masters, whom you are unlawfully holding prisoner. I want Colonel Masters dressed in his flight suit and removed from his present location to the airport. When he gets there, I want him put in a jeep by himself and sent to the end of the northernmost runway. I want to see an escort leave the detention center in 2 minutes with Colonel Masters, where I'll have my squadron destroy the first of 5 strategic targets, beginning with your biggest oil refinery. Do you understand?
So they get Dad out on there, and the president, who's in the control tower, I think, decides that once Doug's ready to land and rescue Dad, the president guy's gonna kill him. So they shoot him in the shoulder. He doesn't die. Doug, and I feel bad. This is a major spoiler alert for a movie that was just released, but I don't care. So Doug drops this bomb, which makes a whole lot of fire on the runway. And this is a weird bomb because there's fire going across the runway. And so the entire, I'm just going to call it Libyan army, is like, oh, we can't get to Doug or Top Gun. Iron, I don't know what that was. Maybe he plays golf. But they can't, these Jeeps and these tanks and all this, they can't drive around it. So they attempt to go through the fire, and that's no good. And then Doug manages to get Dad, and as Dad and Doug get back into Doug's plane, oh, I forgot, Chappie died. He comes back. Goose is coming back too. They're all coming back. But at one point, Doug and Dad are on the runway, and he decides to fire a missile. If any of you are F-16 pilots out there, will it really fire on the ground? Can you do that? I would assume not. I would assume it would hit the ground and then, like, scoot.
Oh, Jesus, Dad. Will the Maverick fire if we're still on the ground?
I don't know. I never tried it. Why?
Because something's about to have us for breakfast.
So they rescue Dad, and then Doug and Dad head back home. On their way back home, they encounter a whole lot of enemy aircraft and decide that they're going to have to fight them, and they talk about outrunning them. And then these more enemy fighters show up. Well, it turns out they're not enemies. They're Americans. They're like, oh, 2 of our people stole F-16s and went to this country and bombed their oil refineries and set everything on fire and killed a whole bunch of people. We should probably go escort them back to the United States. So that happens. They land. Dad goes to the hospital to get medical treatment for his bullet wound. And here's when we find out Chappie's still alive.
Chappie? Hey!
So that's the gist of the movie. So it's similar to Top Gun in the sense that there are planes. A lot of the characters have gotten older, so we are looking at their children. I think they did a pretty good job of making them all white. Making them look like the parents in the movie, so that's pretty good. There was more action and aviation. There were far fewer love scenes and volleyball scenes. I know that's going to turn off a lot of people. But if you like just pure, very realistic aviation, I think Top Gun 2 Maverick is a great film to go see, and you guys should check it out. I'm really happy that I watched it. So that's it. I know I have to, I gotta rewind it because someone behind me is gonna get really mad if you don't rewind these things. So I'm gonna rewind it. I got the it looks like a convertible, like a Corvette, and you put it in there and it rewinds the tape for you. I also have a transparent phone. It's cool. So anyway, I'm going to go return that to the video store, and then I'm going to go to Sound Warehouse and get a CD. The soundtrack is amazing. If you like Kenny G, it's like 30 different versions of Danger Zone, so it's awesome. So anyway, I recommend you go to your local video store and rent Top Gun 2 Maverick. I think you'll enjoy it. I don't really have anything else. Thank you guys for sitting through my video review. Other than that, thanks to Gold Seal for sponsoring the videos. Thanks to the Patreon supporters. Thanks to everybody. Honestly, this channel is a lot of fun to run, and I really do appreciate everybody who who gets it, and I appreciate people who don't get it. The first hour of every video release is me going, it's a comedy channel. But for those of you that get it and who've been around, I really appreciate it. And if you're new and you don't get it, I appreciate you too. Everybody fly safe and go check out the Top Gun movie. Click this link to see the most recent video upload. Click this link to see a video that YouTube thinks you might like. Click this link to subscribe to my channel.